Hey everyone, and welcome back to the trail. I made it back to the trail after a slightly longer than expected stay in Lake City, where a lot of interesting things happened. Um, I was like the recipient of so much kindness and generosity over the last few days. It got kind of overwhelming at certain certain points, but so how this all started was there's kind of been this snowball effect where I'm meeting people along the trail, and they're meeting people, and then it's kind of just this growing group of friends. And so the day before I got to Lake City, I ran into one of them, and it turns out there's a big group getting an Airbnb together in Lake City. So I joined in on that, and so we had like 8 or 9 hikers in this house, and it was just this really awesome experience where we really had that true community. We were there a couple of nights, but the first night, shout out to Disco. He's a really great cook and has read a lot about food science, and so he made this really delicious meal, and everyone kind of helped out. Well, I chopped up some vegetables, and everyone was helping. And so we went from eating trail mix and ramen to having this huge dining room table just totally full of food and salad and all this delicious food. And just that feeling of enjoying being around other people and sharing conversation and experiences. I felt really close to these people. Some of them I had just met that day. But we had this little community, and so that's really what I love, and that's what I want in my life a lot. And but it was awesome to find it there in Lake City. So that was great. The other thing about Lake City is the church there, they really serve hikers. The leader of the church, they set up this hiker center where you can just drop in anytime, and they have everything a hiker needs, charging, Wi-Fi. They even have an espresso bar. They were making cappuccinos for hikers, and there's hiker boxes, which a lot of hiker-friendly places have. So you can leave food that you don't want or gear that you don't need, and then it's just free for other hikers to pick up. And they offer rides to the trailhead. So every day at noon, they drive hikers back to the trail, and then they take people down, and that's how I got to Lake City. And they're just like the most friendly people you would ever meet. And so just receiving all this free kindness and and love, from strangers was really cool. The negative thing, I guess, that happened was I went to the post office to get my food package, and they had actually just returned it to my mailing address the day before, because the post office, they're supposed to hold it for 30 days, and I was on day like 25 or 26 or something, and they said that they were running out of space, so they just sent my box back, which they weren't supposed to do, and they were very apologetic to me. So they tried to get the box back to Lake City, which is why I stuck around at Lake City an extra day, just in case it did make it back. It ended up, it's not in Lake City, it's back in Phoenix. So that was that. But that actually led to more kindness by people, because I'm telling people what happened, and everyone just started giving me free food. Right up until when I left, I walked in the door to the hiker center to get the shuttle, and this guy just handed me a big bag of like beef sticks, and people were giving me peanuts and stuff. So I really only had to buy a couple things at the store. Even some random stranger on the street right after I left the post office, I guess I was walking around and I looked kind of confused or something, and he was like, "Hey, like, what's going on? Do you need help with something?" And I told him what had just happened, and it turns out he was on a road trip and had a bunch of backpacking food in his car. So he's like, "Stop by my car, I'll give you some food." And I was like, "Okay." And I kind of just went to the park and was hanging out, and he like tracked me down, and he went back to his car and got a one of these freeze-dried backpacking meals and gave it to me at the park. So that was kind of how the whole week went. Or the few days I was there. Something else that happened was, so this extra day that I spent in Lake City, I'm just kind of hanging around town with nothing to do, and I was walking around looking for a place to get some food around lunchtime, and I bumped into these 3 hikers who I had been passing on the previous section, and they were about to get lunch, and so we all got lunch together, and so that was really cool too. So um it was just kind of all these fortuitous events happened. And I guess the final thing that happened was I went out for breakfast the last morning, and I talked to this couple from Texas for like a few minutes, and the guy was like, tells the waiter, he's like, put this guy's food on my tab because they saw I was hiking the Colorado Trail and stuff. So it was just this amazing thing where I really feel like that's the true human nature is being generous and wanting to help people. And I think it's just a combination of doing this hard thing that people want to help out with, this Colorado Trail, and then just walking around in this small town where I didn't even have cell service. It leads to more like happenstance meetings with people. I think in our daily lives, it's kind of like we drive from our house to work, and we have our GPS on, and we know exactly what minute we're going to get there. And there's very little unexpected things that happen throughout the day. Whereas when I was in Lake City, you know, I had nothing to do, and I had no cell service, and I was just kind of walking around, and there's all these other people who I guess I kind of knew, also walking around in the small town. So it led to a lot of these really cool encounters, and that's, you know, we can have a lot more of that in our daily lives. These happy encounters with other people and chances to show that love to people and receive love from strangers or people that we know. So it's really cool. So that group of friends that we had the house together, we have like a group chat going now, and I hope we might, you know, we could stay connected going forward. So I might see them again. I'm kind of a day behind everyone right now. So getting back to the trail, this is one of the more scenic parts of the trail. A lot of it's above tree line. And if the weather holds up to what the forecast says, I'm getting really lucky because it just says totally sunny with no chance of thunderstorms today and tomorrow. So I'm taking that with a grain of salt, but the thing is the trail is above tree line for like 30 or 40 miles. So that's going to help me out a lot if I can just kind of walk all day today. And I might catch up to my friends in Silverton, not really sure. So that's kind of that. After Silverton, then Durango's the next town. That's probably another 4 or 5 days. So I think I'm within about a week of finishing this thing, if all goes according to plan. And I'm about to hit the high point of the Colorado Trail, which is 13,200 feet. And there's some amazing views up here, so enjoy the views. I'm just about at Mullis Pass, which is where I will be hitchhiking into Silverton. And that was quite a couple days of hiking. I think it was about 35 miles above tree line, and just really awesome scenery. Probably the best scenery of the entire Colorado Trail, and the weather was just perfect. There was no thunderstorms or anything, so kind of just got to walk as far as I wanted to every day, without worrying about getting struck by lightning, which is usually the big concern on that section. And so just got to walk all day in some of the best mountain scenery you'll find anywhere. And I camped above tree line a couple nights ago, which I don't always like to do because it's colder, it's windier, but the weather worked out, and just seeing the stars that night and being surrounded by the mountains it's a really special experience. That's the kind of thing that you can only get by coming out here and backpacking, and it makes all the miles and the hard work worth it, because the mountains have a certain spiritual presence to them. And especially when you're just up there like that, out of the woods, you really just get a feel for that presence that they have. And again, just watching the sunset and the stars come out, seeing the Milky Way really clearly, and seeing all those peaks at night, it's just, it fills you up. It gives me a sense of that there's something bigger out there, and it's something we can get in touch with in daily life, but if we try with like meditation and stuff. But it's just way easier when you're out here and you are staring these majestic landforms face to face. They're not alive, but they definitely have a mood or a presence about them. And it's that Martin Luther King quote that I think he was actually quoting, he was quoting Socrates or Plato, that the visible is the shadow of the invisible. And that's what I see when I look at the mountains, is it's a reflection of this bigger thing that's out there, this source of all the beauty and love in the world. And the physical world reflects a lot of aspects of that, but mainly it can give us a sense for that bigger thing that's out there, and it's in our hearts too. That's where we can really get in touch with it. So being in the mountains helps me get in touch with that. It's one of it's probably the number one reason why I keep coming out here, is to get that spiritual connection. And I had a lot of that, especially 2 days ago, just walking 20 miles above tree line, surrounded by these peaks all day, and then going to sleep in that environment was, it was a really awesome experience, and it made me feel more peaceful and more connected. So that was that. I'll be spending the day in Silverton today, kind of refueling and then getting back on the trail. And this is the last stretch, 4 or 5 days left till Durango.